So there's a sound attached to this video, and if you click it, you can see the videos that are made using this sound. There's predominantly two kinds. One with women doing the trend, and one with men doing the trend. And the kind of men that are doing this trend are outing themselves. If you're having an interaction with someone, and they are just laying there, they're not doing anything. Their body is not undulating with arousal. They don't want it. See, when someone is turned on, arousal, which is the physiological response, has this muscle tension that moves in waves across the body, which causes someone to undulate or press their hips into something that feels pleasurable. If you're not getting those signs, just saying a lot more about you than you are about what you think your public is.
Get it, get it, get it, hit it, get it, hit it, hit it, flip it, flip it, flip it, exhale.
Four Christian concepts that make me do mental gymnastics. Number 1, God sending himself to impregnate his mother with himself. Number 2 is humans being born into sin, but somehow created in God's image. Like, which one is it? 3, God sending his only son to die for our sins instead of killing Satan or just not creating him in the first place. And number 4, lastly, that the books of the Bible were compiled to support a certain narrative, and anything that didn't support that narrative was left out. But it's the word of God, right? Like, it's infallible. Literally, the Gospel of Thomas tells a story of young Jesus killing another kid because he looked at him the wrong way. Somehow that didn't make the cut. Interesting.
Never know what it's like to constantly be lied on, to constantly be bullied, to constantly be attacked. You would never, and still have to get in the fucking studio and write your own fucking raps and deliver every fucking time and be successful time and time again after 12 fucking years. You will never know how that fucking feel, my nigga.
Didn't want to let go of some beef they had with you. They lied and tried to cover up this little secret competition they've been in with you for quite some time. They're really unhappy in their own life and had been evil-eyeing you for a while, wondering if you would ever figure out. They were evil-eyeing you and stealing your ideas and anything that would fulfill you. They pretended to be your friend and or someone that cared about you, but the whole time this person was jealous. They had a group of friends or people they loved to talk about you with. Your ancestors have been punishing them for the bullshit they've been doing. You had to ask your ancestors to step in and angels, because you hadn't been aware of it till recently.
Hey, sir.
Yes, baby.
I would like attention.
And I'd love to give it to you, but I'm working right now. Did you just...
Yeah, I did.
Go on, do it again. I dare you. Here lies the brat who thought today was the day and I was the one.
Did you just start my eulogy?
Yeah, I did.
In the world of taxes, unfortunately, the people that pay the highest taxes are employees and self-employed people because they don't have many deductions. They don't have many deductions that they can take to offset their income against the taxes. So the people that benefit are business owners and investors who pay a lot less in taxes. And the reason they pay a lot less in taxes is because the taxes are just an incentive system. They're an incentive. So the government will give you tax incentives if you're doing things that the government cannot do. So when we buy apartment houses, we're providing housing. Government can't provide housing, not a lot of it. When we invest in oil and gas, the government is not going to look for new energy supplies. So we are investing in things that the government wants us to invest in, and by doing that, we get tax advantages. People don't understand that. They think if you make a lot of money, you should pay the bulk of taxes.
Just like you reserve the right to not want to date a guy or not see him anymore, the guy reserves the right to not want to see you or date you anymore if you don't give him what he wants. You want to be courted, you want to be taken out, you want to feel special? That's cool. But if the guy doesn't get something in return, which a lot of guys don't, taking a girl on multiple dates, hoping, whatever, I tell guys, cut your losses early.
Agreed.
If she don't want to fuck you, kick her to the curb. He should not sit there and be friend zoned and continue to get used and abused by a girl, because we just proved here. Can you let me finish? We just proved here that a majority of women are totally cool with going out with a guy and not fucking him and getting free dates out of him. So I teach guys to not allow that to happen where you can get used.
So what you're telling me is the whole point of men taking girls out, it's not to talk to them or just like get to know them as a human being. They're seriously just so that he can have sex with her.
No.
90%,
90%,
nothing else
a
is
majority
important.
of the time.
The only reason which is the whole manipulative thing that we were talking about, he's only taking her out so he can have sex with her. He's only being nice to her so he can have sex with her.
Well, yeah, welcome to planet Earth. Yes,
Yeah.
if a guy hangs out with
that
you,
was my whole point of this whole thing.
He's trying to have sex with you. Yes.
I feel like we do that too.
Never transfer assets into your kid's name. Here's why. Let's say you bought a house for $300,000 and it appreciates to $500,000. If you put that house in that kid's name, they now become responsible for the tax on the $200,000 of appreciation. Instead, put the house in a living trust so that when you pass away, they inherit the property with no probate and they receive a step-up in cost basis, which allows them to receive the home tax-free.
Is that white wealth able to exist in the first place in such a disproportionate fashion?
So I have a degree in African American studies, and I don't think people understand the vast amount of money produced by American slavery. By 1860, the 4 million enslaved people in the United States were worth about $4 billion. And that's not adjusted for today's money. That's $4 billion in 1860. And that's just the value of the people. That's not the value of what they produce: tobacco, cotton, sugarcane. The U.S. South was producing 60% of the world's cotton by the late 1800s. The amount of millionaire families, the start of billion-dollar industries with a B, Bezos money. There are whole families, whole towns that are still rich, hundreds of years later, still. Y'all have no idea.
That's why they need us to hate each other. Because if we ever fucking, white people, black people ever was here, then it'd be big problems. They need white people and black people to hate each other. Look, I would never ever stand up here and say black people and white people should get together. Anybody who ever tried to do that and was close got fucking smoked. I don't even want to run down the whole thing. It's just if you were somebody that just... Let's go Malcolm X. When Malcolm X was like, you white dirty devils, blue-eyed evil. He was living a wonderful... Nobody fuck with him. But when he went to Mecca and came back and was like, Jesus, man, everybody's my brother. I think we should all come. Nigga, get your hand in my pocket. And he got shot. If you look at history, anybody that tried to bring black and white people together got killed. Anybody who...
As soon as Malcolm X stopped saying Whitey's the devil, boom!
As soon as he thought, whoa, wait, maybe I'm wrong, get your hand in my pocket, he got killed. You know, Martin Luther King got killed.
Same deal.
JFK, black people love JFK.
Well, he was for real.
He got killed. Jesus, Gandhi, anybody who tries to bring people together for the right reasons, they get off, man. This is the one thing that opened my mind up that I'd never move off of. The Federal Reserve Bank ain't federal. It fucked me up to know that we pay a private loan by a private bank to our government who doesn't borrow money based on our wishes. We are fucking slaves to the bank. And everything else is believable. Once they tell you that the gold standard, do you know what our standard is now? How we weigh our wealth?
It's a debt standard.
Debt! If you owe me 1,000, I'm worth 1,000.
Yes.
But it's not real.
I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women.
I am just saying that those pussies that they got, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not pussy, but that's like beyond pussy or impossible pussy. You know what I mean? It tastes like pussy, but that's not quite what it is it? It's not blood, that's beet juice.
Hey, what's that one Christmas song? It's still November. Jeff's nuts roasting on an open fire. Whose nuts? Jeff's. Chestnuts. Chestnut. That makes more sense. Where'd you even get Jeff's nuts? Don't want to know.
$100,000, just $100,000, less than $10,000 a month. Maybe 12%. 19%. So everybody on Instagram lying, ain't they? Oh yeah, they lying. Everybody's lying. It look good for the camera. Now here's the craziest stat. What percentage of minorities make $100,000? 2.9%. Right? And so the idea is, if everybody's saying that, everybody's dream can't be 100 million. And so do you know what it takes to be in the top 1%? That's 400,000 a year. 400. So look at the gap between the 19% to 1%. Now you telling me you can't go make $400,000 in a year? If you break that down day by day, that ain't a lot of money. And I'm talking gross.
But people's mentality
is effed up. Yeah, it's effed up. Yeah. But you know, I feel like there's a shift coming. When you hear a jobs report and you see 3.4 million people dropped out of the job market, where the hell you think they went? They figured out $12 an hour wasn't great. $15 an hour wasn't great. They figured out they need to do more. And they're like, yo, I can Uber and make the same amount and have my own time. Why am I gonna go work for this guy?
Yesterday I was walking down the street with my mom and a guy in a car pulled over. He screamed out, he said, "Hey, nice ass." I said, "Fuck you, that's my mom, have some respect." The guy said, "I'm talking to you." I didn't know what to say. I looked at my mom. She looked back at me and said, "I taught you better than that. Say thank you." So I told the man, "Thank you." He drove off. We continued to walk down the street and went out to lunch. It was an awkward lunch. I paid the bill. I paid the bill.
If you would cheat on me or walk out on me...
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. We have to get into definition. Who told us that was cheating? Where did that idea come from that that's cheating? And I'm not saying that a lot of men are not just running around. I'm not talking about that. But if a woman finds out that her man has been with a woman while she's been with him for 3 or 4 or 5 years, that's a serious commitment and relationship. And if it hasn't taken anything from me, if I'm not going short of anything, and if this is what he thinks his responsibility is, then what kind of hell are you going to go through to prevent that? Since we cannot stop him, we have not been successful. The white woman has not been successful in stopping the white man from having another woman. They call them a mistress. We pick up a lot of that terminology. But a man who has 2 women, that's not necessarily a mistress. That's just his other woman. Now, we got 2 choices. We can be the woman or the other woman. We don't have but those 2. Now, I know we don't like that. I don't like that. You know, but
my best friend and I were 13. We went to this water park and we were floating down the lazy river together, and she told me that she had to shit really bad and she couldn't hold it, so she shit in the lazy river. The poop started floating towards me, but right in the nick of time, she scooped the turd up with her hand and threw it into the bush right next to the lazy river. It smelled so bad, but for some reason we thought it was really funny, but she was feeling kind of bad about it, so she was trying to convince me to shit in the lazy river so that she wouldn't do it alone.
And did you?
Yes.
It's very noble of you.
I just wanted to be a good friend.
First of all, you goddamn big Frankenstein gorilla-looking motherfucker. Find you some motherfucking body to play with, bitch. Because I drink liquor, I smoke cigars, and I beat the back out of bitches because I'm a bad old motherfucker. And I ain't running away from my age. Motherfucker, you want to be glad to get my motherfucking age because I beats the back out of bitches. I beats the back out of bitches. And you a big old gorilla-looking motherfucker. Fuck you.
The other day, some 10-year-old at school told my 10-year-old, my dad can beat up your dad. Kids. Silly stuff. Stuff like that doesn't get to me sometimes. Fucking gets to me today. What's up, Carson? I'm outside your house. Knock, knock, pussy. Bring your fucking dad out here.
Nice onesie. Does it come in men's?
Oh, I think you come in men enough for all of us.
I think you better come in my... you better come...
I think you better come say that to his face, you fucking hicks.
Nice execution. You're doing terrific.
Hey, I heard about your breakup, buddy.
She was a sweetie for what, 5 years, right?
Oh, you're a high school sweetie, right?
What's it to you?
Heard she cheated on you, buddy.
That's a real kick in the knackers, bro.
Just a real ouchie, bro.
It's too bad she taught you not to fight anymore, buddy.
Because that's a fight on sight for you and her new guy, buddy.
Fourth life for life, bro.
Maybe if you'd ever been in a real fight, you might not be so keen for another.
What'd you say?
You heard me.
Oh, my spitter. Tarps off, boys. You looking for a Tilly, buddy? Let's have a Donnybrook.
Pump the brakes. You take your shirt off, but leave your sunglasses on. What sort of backwards fucking pageantry is that?
You gonna fight with those shades or play PokerStars.com?
Hold my spitter. Dude, I can't hold your spitter. You hold my spitter, just put the spitters down.
Tick-tock. Go time! Go time!
Look at that fucking treasure trail.
What's up with your fucking body hair, Big Shoots? You look like a 12-year-old Dutch girl. Your aesthetician coiffed that for you?
You can kiss my aesthetician. You guys do CrossFit?
You can cross fuck off.
Cross fart. How many times you pulled your horn today, bud?
What?
Oh, she's bashful.
Well, come on, kitten. I won't tell anyone. Ballpark 6 to 8. You're a fucking animal.
Play a little 5-on-1.
Hit the kitchen. Mix a batch.
Feed the ducks.
Distribute some free literature.
In my last video I explained how keyless car hacking works. Now let's look at that attack in real life. The big box the guy in front is holding is a really powerful antenna, and that's going to be able to pick up the key's signal from outside the house. The smaller device that the guy in the back has relays that signal to the car, allowing him to unlock the door and start the engine. Now this is actually a lot easier than stealing a regular car. They can basically just walk up with this device and then drive off with the car.
Here's the biggest secret the food industry doesn't want you to know. Fasting. Fasting is one of the best ways to switch fuel sources. Our body has two fuel sources, carbs and fat. When you're fasting, your body starts to burn fat for fuel rather than carbs for fuel. The food industry doesn't want that. They want you burning carbs for fuel. So you eat every 2-3 hours, replenishing that. Number two, we think we're going to be weak if we fast. It's actually the exact opposite. Think about a hungry lion. It's sharp, ready to kill its prey. But as soon as it's eaten, now it's tired and dull. Most of us are like these overfed lions that are just tired all the time and dull. And so you become a better consumer and they can sell you more things. Cha-ching. A wolf has a bigger brain than a domestic dog. Our ancestors had bigger brains than us. Even the ancient Greeks knew this. Pythagoras required his students to fast. He fasted too. Hippocrates called it the greatest remedy. Number three, fasting boosts growth hormone. This preserves muscle, and muscle mass is the key to longevity. But why is fasting looked at like a fad? A gimmick? Follow the money.
Something that doesn't sit right with you.
That one of the family founders of the largest U.S. bank, the Federal Reserve, has a very disturbing history over the last century. Before and after the formation of the Fed in 1913, the Rockefeller family and foundation has its roots in human experiments and eugenics. They even funded multiple Nazi experiments in the 20s. And in the 30s, the Rockefellers donated millions, as well as land, funding the Sloan Kettering Institute, the future home of Chester South. He experimented on about 24 senile African-American women, injecting them with cancer cells without their knowledge. Then he did the same thing on about 400 inmates without their knowledge. His punishment was he became the vice president of the American Cancer Society, also funded by Rockefeller money. And I'm sure you've heard of the Tuskegee syphilis experiments or the Guatemalan syphilis experiment. Others look to be defendants on at least one of those, but tied to both. But before all that, they started the American Medical Association, alongside Nazi Germany's Bayer, General Mills and Kellogg's, land rapist and slave laborer Nestle, Bristol Myers, Procter & Gamble, and JP Morgan Chase Bank. And that was the beginning of the pharma industry patenting petrochemicals for pharmaceutical use. And PubMed says these guys are tied. And by the 40s, this guy was involved in government. A cabinet member, in fact. A Republican appointed by FDR, everybody's favorite progressive. They have extremely close ties with this family and this other billionaire. Century-old ties with the Bush family. And they've been pretty chummy with the executive branch through a lot of presidents. I think by now we can all agree that the right and the left are two wings of the same bird. Maybe it's time we start talking about the bird.
Okay, before you discount it, hear me out on this. Go to Google. Google immortal animals. Okay, let's do this together. Here's the list. Jellyfish, lobsters, whale, sharks, clams, sea urchins. Noticing a trend? Explain to me why there are animals that do not die unless someone kills them, and that a majority of those animals are all found in the ocean.
So I'm fully aware that I'm going to hell after I make this TikTok, but with that being said, he is right, and let's talk about it. Fun fact, 70% of divorces that are filed by women. So it's a pretty safe assumption that women are not happy in marriage, some or most of the time. So when you find a married woman that has entertained the conversation longer than a married woman should, it's a safe assumption that she's with the shits. Now, should you act on that? That is completely and entirely up to you, my friend. But yeah, he's not wrong, and I refuse to look at the camera for this entire TikTok because, yeah, we're just gonna move on.